Mm. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ecosystem Builders. I'm Vaughn Mordecai, as you know, and today I've got someone that I have been genuinely looking forward to talking with. It's Stefanie Chiras, and she's the Senior Vice President of Red Hat's Partner Ecosystem Success, aka the Channel Chief of Red Hat. If you're working in partnerships or ecosystems and you don't know Stefanie, there are a few that don't, that's about to change. We'll talk a little bit about that. So let's jump in. Stefanie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Vaughn. I'm honestly thrilled to be here, have a chat with you. So thanks for inviting me.
I've been excited for this for quite a while. Let's start really simple. Who are you, and what's something outside of work that fires you up or shapes how you've become the leader that you are?
All right. So a couple of things. If I had a free afternoon, the first thing I would do to use it is to do home improvements. I am an engineer by training, and I absolutely love to fix things. Maybe to the chagrin of my family, but I will paint a room, replace outlets, put up light fixtures, you name it. I have a great workshop. So my inner engineer in me, I was a mechanical engineer. That comes out in my home improvement. But I love it. Honestly, it's like that is my stress relief to go out and do that. And I think it feeds to that
Hang
building.
on. I have got to ask you a really fast question.
All right, go ahead.
Have you ever shocked the heck out of yourself?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Electrician work is probably my least favorite. Not that I'm daunted by it, but it's my least favorite because maybe it's the most painful.
Yeah, I have done that so many times. My wife will hear me scream in the background, and she's like, "Oh, you've got to turn the power off. Turn the power off." Okay. Anyway, so how's that impacted who you are and how you go about your business?
I think there's two things to it, right? I am definitely a fixer by nature, right? The thing that keeps me going every day is finding a new problem to solve.
Uh-huh.
And it's always about progress. It's, whether there's something in the house that just, it's been that way for 5 years, but it could be better, right? That fires me up. And I think in working with the ecosystem, it's not, you get to work with partners to drive progress, and then together you work to help customers drive progress. And that is pretty cool, right? Because you bring in the expertise of whatever you bring to the table, whatever the partner brings to the table, and then you put it into the hands of the customer. So I do think, right, that build nature comes out and is part of what fires me up about the ecosystem, and in particular how we have it set up here at Red Hat. And the other thing I would say is I was an avid basketball player. I don't play that much anymore, but that team sport aspect of it, that really drives me. There's nothing better than being part of a good team.
Yeah, I hear you. I've done a lot of coaching and playing soccer,
Yeah,
and I know exactly what you're saying.
it
Do you?
shapes you. Yeah,
Yeah, it really does, and it shapes your leadership. It shapes how you encourage people, how you lead people. It's
absolutely.
really interesting. Um, okay, so let's spend just a second talking about what Red Hat actually does. Um, because there may be listeners that don't know for sure.
Yeah.
They were interested in hearing about you. But let's hear what Red Hat actually does, and then how is that applying over to how you're kind of starting to build this ecosystem for Red Hat, the partnership side of it?
Yeah, perfect. So Red Hat It's a enterprise software company, so we deliver enterprise software. Every bit of our software is done in open source. So our development model is 100% open source, which
Mhm.
means our engineers are working up in the upstream open source communities, and then we take that and we're able to do all the testing with partners, et cetera, to make sure that when you deploy that technology, you have reliability in the supply chain of how that software was done, because we will work that. It's secure and that it works with the rest of the ecosystem that matters to you. And that's why it's really exciting to be in this space with Red Hat. We deliver platforms. So think of like one of our largest products is Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So it's a Linux operating
Mhm.
system. We have a Kubernetes platform. We have an called OpenShift. We have Ansible, which is our automation platform. We have AI platforms, but it's all platform based. And to me, that's really important for how we set up the ecosystem, because the value of a platform is it's only valuable depending upon what you can run on top of it and what you can run
Mhm.
underneath it. And that means the ecosystem is core to the value proposition we deliver. Platform by itself doesn't help anyone, quite honestly. But when that platform bridges the best of technology underneath with the best of technology on top, and you can pick and choose for how you want to deploy that, for your business, that becomes the magic. We have been on a strategic path called what we call open hybrid cloud for a very long time, right? And that means
Yep.
that when you deploy a Red Hat platform, you can run it on your private cloud with multiple choices of technology, on a variety of public clouds with multiple choices of technology, and you can take applications, tools from multiple spots. Um, the open source piece is very core to that, because open source is one, it's community driven, which becomes part of our culture, which I'll touch on in a minute. And it's built upon standards. The reason why open source works is because it's built upon standards that drive interoperability. That
Mhm.
becomes core embedded in the technology, so that because we develop in open source, a lot of our partners are working with us building in the open source community, and the output is a set of standards. So all the other partners can come in, know those standards, and we can work together with them to make sure that when a customer deploys us together, it works. And we've tested it and we've done our homework. But the open
Yeah,
source,
sorry. I've been enamored with your organization for quite a number of years. I actually used to run a company that we had built our entire platform on Red Hat. And
oh, really?
it was really interesting at the time because it was cutting edge stuff. And this was probably, I don't know, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and we were doing things that other people hadn't, and it was so interesting to see how engaged the Red Hat community was with what we were doing and how helpful they were. As we were trying to kind of launch, we had these massive telephone centers and things like that we were using Linux from Red Hat to just build
Yeah.
on. And our IT guys, they would never have deviated away from what you were doing because it was so important to what they were as a
Oh,
group.
that's great to hear, and that is the spirit and the culture, right, that we kind of pull in from open source. It's the all working together. It's a community-driven thing. Like the folks that on your team, Vaughn, that we're working with it, like we view that as like you're part of our community now. Like, how do we all make
Yeah.
this work together, right? And how do we get the best innovation in so that you get access to that best innovation, and we're constantly making it better to drive progress. And that spirit is exactly what we are trying to bring into the ecosystem. Our ecosystem is set up that we cover everything from um, build partners. who
Uh-huh.
who do we certify with, who do we test with, who do we build with, to everything, to services partners, to the channel and the sell partners, and it covers everything in between. And our goal is to make sure that every partner that we work with gets value from the rest of the partners that we work with, right?
Yeah,
So
it's obvious. It's fundamentally core to your business actually
it
in a
is.
way that that it doesn't feel like that in some other folks, or some other organizations. um, I need to ask you, you weren't always in ecosystem and you
No.
weren't always in the channel. So you've got a big role now in Red Hat.
Yeah.
I mean, channel chief, the SVP of ecosystem. Oh, what what's your, talk a little bit about that role, how you found your way into that, and the culture that you're starting to build that really seems reflective of that sort of core nature of Red Hat overall.
Yeah, I am not your typical channel chief. That's probably true. So I'm an engineer by training, and I actually joined Red Hat almost 7 years ago now as the general manager for the Red Hat Enterprise Linux business. So that
Yeah.
technology you were talking about.
Yeah.
So I was leading the Red Hat Enterprise Linux business, and then about 3.5 years ago, uh, kudos to the company, right? Leaning in on that platform story. We had grown up at Red Hat very, very geo-driven, right? Because
Uh-huh.
we grew up that way, as many companies do, and we had reached a point where we really wanted to lean in to leverage the global scale. What could we do with our partners who were working globally? And so we made a decision about 3.5 years ago to really take on a much more centralized focus around ecosystem. And we pulled together everything from the build, service, and sell an ecosystem into this team. And I stepped in to lead that, which Vaughn
Okay.
was daunting to the point that you raised. It was quite daunting because I had never been in a sales organization before.
Ah,
I had always worked with partners, right? For whether or
yeah.
not I was in development or whether or not I was in product management, but I had never been in sales. The thing I love about it is I look at it a bit similar to how you look at running a business as a general manager. You build with some partners, you go to market with other partners,
Mhm.
you service with some other partners. Sometimes it's the same partner, sometimes it's different partners, but at the end of the day, the end focus is to give value to the customer.
Yeah.
But now I get to do that with working with the team and working with partners across that space. So, and I do think it ties to that platform statement, right? That's very important to how we approach it. But it might be a little bit of a different approach. I'm definitely not probably typical in this space, but it is. I love the dynamic nature of it, right?
Okay.
It's so dynamic.
I'm gonna put you on the spot,
Okay.
okay? I I have I've watched you since you stepped into this role,
Yep.
and I'm gonna compliment you, but I wanna know how you've done it, okay? Y You have managed to put together sort of a who's who of channel ecosystem knowledge into your team. It's been really interesting to watch. I'm connected to a lot of folks in the industry, and I'm watching people enter the Red Hat ecosystem team over and over and over again, and these are well-known people that have very, very good skills. Uh, how? How are you doing it? And I mean, there must be a strategy behind that, because it keeps happening over and over, and I get rumors of more people, and it's like you're a magnet to the skilled partnership folks.
I'll start with the why. Maybe the why is because I definitely am looking to complement my own skills with people who have very deep channel skills. So that gives me a very strong impetus to get really great skills to the table. It all starts. I mean, I firmly believe it all starts with a great team, and making sure that you surround yourself with complementary skills, because it's not about the individual; it's about the collective of those skills. But I will
Mhm.
say we have created a passion around what we do and creating a community of how we really embrace um, that open source culture with a community of partners. We view it as a community. We try very, in fairness, we try very hard not to say the Red Hat ecosystem. We are part of a community that is an ecosystem, and we feel like we play a catalyst role in it. And so we have really focused on pulling in people who bring in that level of passion for being a catalyst, leveraging the skills and knowledge they know. Um, and I'm super proud of the team. I really am. I'm super proud to be a part of it. And we have collected a set of folks who really believe in that sense of community and bring with them an expertise that they have developed. And since it is all about community, having people who have worked in other places is really important because they bring with them the network that they have, and that helps. Quite honestly, it helps everyone.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure that you're promoting. I mean, it's one thing that may not be quite as obvious is the internal promotions or the internal people you're pulling into your team, and I'm sure that that who's who in the organization's headed your way as well. Are you
Yeah.
how are you taking care of the insiders?
We have, and every time we post a role, um, I get more and more excited about the number of Red Hatters who want to come in and join the ecosystem team. Like, that is something I actively watch, and, it's really exciting because, one, I think they see the skills coming in from outside, they wanna be a part of that passion, right, as we continue to grow that skill, but ecosystem is one of those things that touches to get the ecosystem to work for the partners, for the customers, the entire company has to be bought in to the ecosystem message from the field sellers to the enablement team to the legal team. I mean, everyone has to have a level of understanding about ecosystem. So having that cross-pollination is really important. Like, I love having skills come in from the deal desk team into ecosystem, from the compliance team to ecosystem. That just helps us sort of spread the knowledge of how important ecosystem is, how to work with partners, and get it pervasive across the company.
Yeah. There's something that just occurred to me, and this is going to come out of left field a little bit for you, but that notion of community is so important to
Yeah,
Red Hat. And even 15, 20 years ago when I first started working with Red Hat, that sense of community existed, and it was
yeah.
so obvious, like prevalent in everything that we were doing with you. So that is the fundamental driver. I mean, like
It is.
that's one of the core key
It
corporate culture items, I would suspect.
absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. It is part of our identity, Vaughn.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, it makes its way through for sure.
That's
Um,
great to hear.
so you get involved with the ecosystem. You're in this leadership role. You've got people around the industry that are just talking about ecosystem, 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 almost to a point where it's annoying to hear it, obviously. But, but how do you take this role and this community, this sense of community, and apply it out to something meaningful into a strategy? I mean, because at some point,
Yeah.
it moves from culture to strategy, and then from strategy to growth. And what do you got going on that you're having to work on right now that really follows that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So coming back to kind of where we started when I stepped into this role, we were very geo-based and a bit unique in the geos. When I step back, I think for 2025, our key goals are um, simplify engagement on a global
Mm,
scale, empower the partners with a greater sense of autonomy in order to shape their future, and then operate with transparency for customer success. Like, those are the three key things that
so
we have set out
refreshing.
for 2025, and we have action items under each one, right, that we're driving. In Just to step back a little bit into 2024, we had been working on a transition as part of that kind of global simplification. We rolled out and launched an enhanced partner program that was
Okay.
globally standard. It was the
Mhm.
first time we had ever done a global partner program. So we launched that in July last year. That was a lot of change, right? We spent
Yeah.
the 6 months kind of rolling out a lot of change. Now in 2025, for myself and my team, it's all about saying, okay, we put a lot of change in front of folks. Now 2025 is about how do we listen to feedback and tweak that? How do we get
Yep.
the tooling right in order to support it for a truly simplified experience for the partners? So now it's about taking those changes and really getting them into execution and operationalization, right? Simplify the tooling, get feedback for where things may not be working well, and how do we iterate. But I'm really focused on 2025 being a kind of focus on optimization, focus on that stabilization, get it to work seamlessly, and both internally and externally.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what the biggest dent you've made so far has been, but holy moly, that's there it is, right?
Yeah,
The new global program, and then the institutionalization and operationalization of the
exactly.
system. That's a big undertaking in a very short amount of time. I mean, you've been in this role for what, 3 years?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was a big change, right? And as we know, it's we have all of the market dynamics too, right? We're really leaning in on cloud, right? And how
Hmm.
do we how
Yeah.
do we focus in on cloud? We have leaned in on distribution to really leverage distribution in a way that they have evolved their business models in light of the market changes, and we needed to evolve to take advantage and partner with them on all of the things that they have done over the years to advance what they're doing to support their community of resellers. So within underneath those changes, we've rolled out changes to try and support those efforts. Now we got to make sure that they're actually working, and it has to feel different for the
Yeah.
partners. That's what we're really focused on.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now let's talk. You brought this up, the tooling of all of this, and there's so much going on right now in how partnerships and alliances are being managed.
Yeah.
There are all these ecosystem tools, and there are the traditional platforms that you have and all this stuff, and then you've got AI that's eating everyone's lunch. I mean, what are you doing with regards to tooling, and how do you approach that? What are some tips that you can give others that are going through what you're going through? It and it, I'm not looking for a nod to any specific tool. It's just every time I get a chance to talk to engineers, and our founder-led CEO is an engineer, so
Yeah.
I know that you'll have a view on this, and how it should be done correctly. What do you suggest for others?
We it's an interesting journey and one that we're still on. Um, like anything, and maybe like what we all hear in the AI space as well, it starts with the data. Like,
Yeah.
do you have visibility and to the data that matters? And I think in ecosystem, one of the interesting and exciting things is um, sometimes folks, natural human nature, you over rotate to what you can measure. And
Hmm.
sometimes all you can measure is the transaction. We all know that the value that partners bring is well beyond the transaction, right? It is how they engage with the customer, how they drive adoption, how do they expand the usage, how do they gain trust. So, in this tooling aspect, I think one of the journeys we're on is how do you get the data right and the tools right to measure the things that matter? And it is beyond simply the transaction. And that's kind of a journey that we're on. In fairness, we have, but start with getting the data right, measure the right things, and then get a tool that can engage with the partner directly so that they can run their business in partnership with you. It's not a kind of wall that you have between the two. So those are some of the things we're focused on as we take this journey, and it has moved into be pervasive into also not just how we interact with the partners with our tooling, but how we work with Red Hat in the tooling as well. So we have adopted what we call technology decision points, and I'll just talk
Okay.
about this because I'm super excited about this,
I'm
right?
excited to hear it.
We have been like, we are we're very proud to be, technology and engineering. We love it. I love it myself. And
Uh-huh.
sometimes we can over rotate on the technology. We have transitioned now to roll out what we call technology decision points, which are big, meaty decisions that customers make. And we're pivoting our whole go to market with our field sellers and internally to align to these technology decision points, which I love because it puts the customer first. I
Hmm.
also love it because I'll just pick on two. One is AI, of course, right?
Yeah.
Which you mentioned. That's a big technology decision point that customers are wrestling with. Another is, what is their strategy around virtualization going forward, right?
Yeah.
Containerization, VMs, what is their strategy around that? So if you just take those two as an example, now that we've aligned to those customer decisions, what that allows us to do in ecosystem as we roll out that sales play enablement to our field sales team, to the marketing team, is these are the products that fit in, but it's not just the products. These are the partners who have demonstrated it. These are the partners who have built with us in order to deliver with it. These are the partners who have sold it and
Yep.
done a great job selling it. These are the partners who have services capabilities around it. So now in that TDP, it's not just about the product or how to talk to a persona. It's about, here's the product, here's the technology, here's the ecosystem of partners that can make it real. And you look at something like virtualization or AI, there is no one vendor who can solve that problem. So it allows us a very natural way to pull in and really put our partners into the core of what we're telling our sellers, what we're telling our customers. So I'm super excited about that.
That this is going to be really meta. Um, it Are you using AI to help solve the problem of AI?
Isn't everyone?
Yeah, yeah. I'm interested in how
Absolutely.
people are incorporating AI into their partner, their partner strategy and things like that. I was in a conference last week, and that comment about data is so key because
It
it
is.
can give you the right answer from the data that you're providing, and the overall answer could be completely wrong, but your data is telling you that it's
Yeah.
completely right if you're not careful.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely an important question to ask, right? And I think it's going to take time for people to feel comfortable. But with the ecosystem, I think there's kind of three areas with AI. It's how do we all use it internally to
Hmm.
differentiate ourselves for the
Yep.
customer, right? Whether that's
Uh-huh.
building code or delivering services or whatever. So, how do we use it? How do we help customers use it and get to return on investment faster? And then really, how do we help the customers deal with the change, the process change that AI brings? So to me, it's kind of like all three layers have to be looked at and open up an opportunity for the use and deployment of AI.
That's interesting. Very insightful. Okay, so we're running out of time. I've got two things that I try to wrap up with.
All
The
right.
first one is I love to hear people's stories. What is one story that just changed the game? Either you like totally poached something, you got it all wrong and you went, "Oh, okay, now I know how to do this in the future," or you just nailed it and it had a much bigger impact than you ever would have imagined. Do you have any stories like that?
I'll give you one story, right, that was very pivotal for me in this role. Um, the first summit when I was in this role, the first Red Hat Summit, which is our global event in 2022, which was the first one when we coming out of COVID, was reasonably small, so it was hybrid, and it was my first time in this role, and I pulled together a partner meeting right at
Uh-huh.
the end of the
Yeah.
first day, and the whole conference was quite small, but we invited about 110, and the room was small. We were all crammed together, which made people nervous because we were just coming out of COVID. And it was everyone kind of came in, and I'm brand new. No one really knows me. And I'm like, okay, we just had this huge global conference, right? And
Hmm.
now we were at the last day, and I said, now this is us. This is our family dinner to talk about what this means to all of us. And the level of openness that was shared by great people who work for what you would traditionally think of as competitors, all sitting
Uh-huh.
in a room, being very open about what was good, what was bad, what are they seeing, what like that moment for me was like, yeah, this is what an ecosystem means, right? This is
Yeah.
about everyone kind of coming together, right? Lay it out on the table, the good, the bad, what are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? What are you seeing in the market? And everyone being so open. That for me was like, this is what I want the ecosystem to be like. This is why I want to roll up my sleeves with these folks. And so I keep coming back to that, going, how do I continue to create that sentiment, right?
Yep.
That feeling right amongst ecosystem, because it just became a room full of really smart people trying to solve problems and make progress. It would it I still like get chills when I think about how great that meeting was.
Yeah, that's really cool. Everyone wants a good experience, and they're happy to tell you how you can get there if you'll just ask them,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's interesting.
yeah.
Okay, so one last thing. Um, a, a lot of people that are trying to help their careers listen to this particular webcast. Um, Give me one or two tips on how they can help themselves if they want to stay in partnerships or develop careers and partnerships.
Yeah, so from a career perspective, I think one of the things I love about ecosystem, including myself, is you can bring it's a very diverse set of backgrounds that come in and can really make a difference in ecosystem. In fact, fundamentally, the value of the ecosystem is the diversity that comes together in order to make it happen. Um, I do think that some of the key things, like despite even myself, right, working hard to create an engineering background, some of the most impactful things to be successful in this space are more of the softer skills. Do you
Ah,
listen to understand? Always be transparent. Even in the worst of times, be transparent. You can always get over something bad if you just deal with it up front. So to me, it's I think sometimes it's hard in your career to be like, I know I went through this myself. Like I learned all of this stuff. But the soft skills and the ability to interact, it comes down to people.
I love that. It always comes down to people and relationships. Well,
Yeah.
Stephanie, I could go on with you for hours, I think. But thank you for taking this time. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people that are going to listen to your insights and take them into account and move forward. And anyway, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Completely my pleasure, Vaughn. Thank you for the time.
All right, with that, we'll see y'all next time. Take care.